From finding illegal underground railroads to a record-breaking drug bust of over $13 billion, we count 10 of the biggest drug seizures of all time. Number 10. The Marijuana Railroad. Mexican marijuana traffickers built their own version of the Underground Railroad to transport weed across the California-Mexico border. After following a suspicious truck to a warehouse in Tijuana, police found the entrance to a freshly excavated passage. The 1,800-foot-long tunnel used a light rail system to deliver the drugs to a crawl space on the California side of the border. Authorities seized 30 tons of marijuana in 2010, worth $21.2 million today. Number 9. Homer Simpson's weed. One of the biggest drug busts in Mexican history didn't really seem to take much work. Surprisingly, this organization used the least subtle packaging to deliver marijuana. The brightly colored cartoon labels on a package depicted Homer Simpson exclaiming, "Voy de Mayara, QA," which roughly translates to, "I'm going to get high, dude." The cartel obviously didn't think to try and hide the drugs, and in 2010, the 105 tons of marijuana was apprehended by the police, in which 11 suspects were also taken into custody after a shootout in which no one died. Number 8. Ecstasy in Australia. After a year-long operation, the Australian Federal Police seized 4.4 tons of MDMA or ecstasy, which is 15 million pills, in 2008, worth a whopping $309 million. Drug traffickers included bosses, dock workers, and freight haulers who were organizing and shipping the drugs inside 3,000 tomato cans imported from Italy. Number 7. Busloads of hash. In 2008, 260 tons of hashish, roughly the equivalent in weight of about 30 double-decker buses, was found tucked inside a bunch of underground trenches and bunkers in Afghanistan by United States forces. The drugs were meant for use by the Taliban to fuel their war against the West. The United States military were able to save man-hours removing the drugs by calling in an airstrike. The $350 million of hash went up in smoke just like that. Number 6. Marxist-guarded cocaine. In Colombia, politics get deadly. Instead of arguing endlessly on TV, Colombian far-left and right-wingers often end their debates with assault rifles. But there is one thing they can agree upon: selling cocaine. Colombian police put a dent in this love-hate relationship in 2005 when they seized 14 tons of cocaine owned by the AUC, a paramilitary drug trafficking organization with ties to the government and guarded by Marxists. Hidden along the Mira River, the bust was one of the biggest hauls ever seized in a single operation on a single day and was worth $350 million. Number 5. Opium in Afghanistan. Terrorist groups like the Taliban not only use opium trafficking as a way to make some money, Afghanistan supplies 90% of the world's opium supply. When the Afghan military seized 92 tons of opium poppy seeds in 2009, it became the single largest drug cache by Afghan-led forces to date. A total of 60 militants were eliminated and the stash was obliterated via airstrike, making this a win in both the war on terror and the war on drugs. Number 4. Submarine cocaine. This year, the United States Coast Guard seized $1 billion of cocaine, or 66,000 pounds, and 2 tons of heroin hidden in drug-running submarines. A 4-month sting operation found the drugs to be transported using submarines and fishing boats called pangas, used by Mexico's Sinaloa cartel, run by Joaquin Guzman, the US's most wanted criminal who escaped from prison earlier this year. It took officials over 4 hours to unload the cargo. Number 3. Pablo Escobar's drug ring. Cocaine kingpin Pablo Escobar raked in millions of dollars each day, supplying the United States with 50% of its cocaine, mostly made in Tranquilandia, a secret jungle laboratory built in Colombia for the production of the drug. Complete with its own airstrips, independent water and electrical systems, dormitories, and personal army. He transported it using a massive fleet of vehicles, helicopters, planes, boats, and even a submarine. The Colombian National Police, assisted by the DEA, seized 14 tons of cocaine worth over $1 billion on the street in 1984 after following trafficking devices planted in tanks of a major chemical in cocaine production. Number 2. San Francisco's heroin. The biggest heroin bust in US history. 59 boxes filled with 1,200 pounds of white heroin that had just landed in the San Francisco Bay Area from Thailand was seized by the DEA in 1991. It was found in a Hayward warehouse that had been under surveillance for a month. The street value was then around $2.7 to $4 billion. The DEA said this seizure was roughly 5% of the overall world's yearly heroin production, more than the largest supplier Peru produces in an entire year. Based on the average dose of heroin, that's enough for every San Francisco citizen to do heroin twice at least. Number 1. Upscale Californian cocaine. Found in a warehouse located in an upscale Californian residential community near the San Gabriel Mountains, a United States record-breaking 21 tons of cocaine, worth $13 billion, was seized in 1989. But even this impressive haul was small time in comparison to the 77 tons of cocaine that drug lord kingpin Rafael Munoz of the Juarez cartel has moved through the warehouse in the time leading up to his arrest.